Welcome to the Successful Nurse Coach podcast. On this podcast, Laura
and Shelby, both board-certified nurse coaches, show you how to make as much money as you want in private practice as a nurse coach.
All right, welcome to the Successful Nurse Coach podcast. Today is about enthusiasm and energy, and I'm feeling enthusiastic and have energy, and that's why we're talking about it today, because it's so important. It's so important. Why is this important? Well, lots of reasons, but I'm going to give you lots of examples, why it's important, what it does for our clients, what it does for our business, and what it does for us, and then talk about some of the nuances of it. And it was so interesting because I was on Facebook, I don't know, probably 2 months ago, and I follow a coach of some sort. She's some kind of business guru lady, and I don't know how long I've been following her for. And she was interviewing a client who had sold $2.2 million worth of coaching in one day. And I thought, that's attention grabbing. I'm interested in that. And I fell bait for the whatever, and it was like $44 to have her talk about exactly how she created $2.2 million in one day. And I just finally got around to watching it yesterday when I was doing laundry and doing stuff around the house. I had it going in the background. And the first thing I can say about this coach is she's on fire, borderline crazy, just on fire. So much energy, so much enthusiasm. Think Tony Robbins, but a little bit more quirky, younger, unique. And when I first experienced it, it was so much that I wasn't sure if I could listen. And then as I was being with it, I was so energized by her enthusiasm and her energy. And of course, at the time of her recording that, I think the week before, she had sold $2.2 million worth of coaching. So there was a very natural reason for the amount of enthusiasm that she was experiencing. And I was picking up on what she was putting down. It was helpful to me to be in her enthusiasm, to be around that much energy. It was helpful. There's a couple things that she said around business that I learned, but most of it's was not like earth-shattering or new information. There was nothing that I heard her say that I didn't already know or I haven't heard said someplace else. There was nothing proprietary. It wasn't information. And it was clear to me that this particular person, in all of her energy at a live event, no wonder, right? She sold $2.2 million worth of coaching because she's so enthusiastic and has so much energy that I'm sure people will just want to plug into that however they can. And so thank you, unnamed coach, I'm not even sure if she's a coach. She might be like a wealth activator. I don't even know. I don't even remember her name or else I'd share it. But it was clear to me the magic that she brought. The primary thing that I got from her was her enthusiasm and her energy. And that's what we're going to talk about today. About 2 years ago at our mentorship retreat, we had somebody come in and do a talk on enthusiasm. And this is Barbie Buckle. If I think we've done a podcast with Barbie. Maybe not. Maybe we haven't. I think we have. You might be able to find her. And she built her entire practice in person, but her personality is she's on fire. She's enthusiastic. She's one of the only previous clients. And when we see each other in person, she kisses me on the lips and tells me she loves me. And I love her too. And this is one of the gifts that she has in the world. And so we had her talk about enthusiasm and energy. Here's one thing we do on mentorship calls. A lot of times when I start with a new group or I'm checking in with a group, a lot of times how I start the call is I ask everybody in the chat to put their energy level 0 to 10, because how you coach somebody at a 4 is different than how you coach somebody at a 9. Now, in nurse life coach certification and in training, we teach about matching and mirroring, being aware of where the other person is and matching it in some way. If you, before your coaching call, are a 4 and your client is a 9, how do we get it together? How do we match them there? And conversely, if you're coming in at a 9 and your client's at a 4, is it appropriate for you to do the rah, shish kumbah, high energy enthusiasm, let's change the world type of coaching? Probably not. So having enthusiasm and energy with and for your clients is a skill that you need to have. If you're going to do live events, If you're going to be coaching multiple people throughout the week, you have a responsibility as a coach to manage your own energy in service to the client for the moment that they're in front of you. Now, on my mentorship calls on a Zoom screen, I have anywhere from, 4 to 8, depending on the group in the day, never more than 8. I change my settings so that I see them as the main screen. Not all the time, depending on what we're doing, but I try. I try to have them be the main face on my screen so I can't really see everybody else. And I have made a promise to myself that when they're speaking, I'm 100% with them. And I have made a promise to myself that I will match their enthusiasm and energy, and sometimes will go up and sometimes I won't. Now, why would I do that? I'm going to give you a case study of a particular client we had. I had a client in the past, and I've had several clients in the past that came to calls really low energy, monotone, sighing a lot for multiple reasons. Nothing wrong with that. But this was just their general way of being on our coaching calls. And at some point, I decided to match that and mirror that in service to that person. I realized I wanted that person to feel how it felt to be coached with a 4, with no enthusiasm and no energy. And what do you want to do? And how do you feel? I wanted her to sense that, if that felt potent to her, if that was helpful to her. And she picked up on it and she asked about it. And I was very clear that I was matching her energy. And so that was what her clients were getting, possibly. I don't know. I wasn't on her client calls, but I really wanted to point out how energy matters. Our enthusiasm matters. For a lot of us, if we've been told our whole life that you're too much, you're weird, you're kind of crazy, you're too much, too enthusiastic, you talk too much, and you've spent your whole life becoming smaller, this might be a new something that you choose to lean into. But I want you guys to ask yourselves this question. If you were to hire a coach, do you want them to have energy, and do you want them to be enthusiastic about their time with you? Resounding yes. And enthusiasm doesn't have to be fast and high-pitched and high energy. It can be slow and present, intense in the best way, loving, but it's there. There's something that you can feel there. In leadership, enthusiastic leaders inspire their teams. Employees or team members are so much more likely to be productive, to engage, to feel loyalty if they see that their leaders are passionate about their work. Having worked for different organizations and watching enthusiasm start to go down, and doing that, to be quite honest, doing that in the Successful Nurse Coach at different times, it affects the team. And so as a leader of a team, whether this is you at the hospital, whether this is you in your practice, whether this is you building your small team, that version of you is helpful as the leader. We need to choose it, to cultivate it. It's also very contagious. When we're enthusiastic about, I don't know, I'm going to give you an example here because I do this all the time. I'm like, I have 2 speeds, on and off, all in or not moving. And I did a post the other day about grounding shoes, y'all. Like, I bought these grounding shoes. They were a pretty penny. They were like $159, but I've been watching them forever. And I'm always outside on the farm, and I like wearing shoes. I don't like being barefoot. It just, I have sensitive feet since being ill many years ago, almost like a neuropathy. There's just a sense that from a tactile, I just can't really tolerate being barefoot. I can tolerate it on the sand. I don't really like it on hardwood floors. Like, I am an inside slipper person or sock person. But outdoors, I'm running around with plastic between me and the earth. And I just knew I didn't want to do that, but I also didn't want to go barefoot. So I bought these grounding shoes that were leather, that have a copper pin that connects to the earth, to the bottom of the sole of your foot. So you have electron exchange. And I was so excited about them. They were great. I wore them for 3 days and I could feel it. And even if it was placebo, I don't care. Like, it felt good. It made me have more enthusiasm. So I enthusiastically posted about this. And I think the post got 7 shares, 160 comments. And so I reached out to the company. Everybody wanted to buy some. And so I reached out to the company. I'm like, hey, I just did a post and lots of people are interested. Do you have an affiliate program? I said, yeah, I can give you an affiliate link and you get either 20% off, or you can get a link and get money. That wouldn't happen if I wasn't enthusiastic about things. That was an opportunity for either me to pass on a discount to people that I love and care about, to offer value to my community at a discounted rate, to save people I love $40. Or it could be an income stream. If that's what I was in the stage of doing, I could create it as an income stream and post about it once every 3 weeks, as long as I still thought that they were doing their job, which, by the way, they are. That opportunity would never have happened. It would have never happened if I wasn't enthusiastic about the damn shoes. Because energy, enthusiasm, and they're contagious. They are magnetic. They help in building a positive brand image. They attract people to you. They retain clients who hire you. If you have passion for what you do, people want to be around that. Shelby and I were meeting before this call and we were laughing. And we're not calling anybody out in general, but we work with so many nurse coaches and many of them start mentoring other nurse coaches. But they tell us in confidence they don't really like business coaching. They do it because somebody asked them and they're like, well, I'm a little bit ahead and I can do this, but I don't really like it. Like, I'm really into somatic stuff, or I'm really into this, or I want to do the deeper work, or, and I'm like, okay, but nurse coaches deserve a business mentor who is freaking passionate about and enthusiastic about all things business. You don't want a coach that's like, yeah, I'll coach around this. Yeah, I'll coach around weight loss. I mean, it's an easy buck. Do you want to have that as your weight loss coach? No. It's your enthusiasm as a North Star pointing you to the work that you're supposed to do in the world. Very important here. It's going to be very difficult to build a brand and a business around something you aren't enthusiastic about. I also feel like not all work is fun to do, right? Like, there are so many parts of our business that are not fun. They're just not. And yet we got to find some enthusiasm around it. And there is infinite games we can play with our mind and our thoughts to cultivate enthusiasm around the silliest things, the smallest things, the most monotonous things. They are required in life to inspire others and to be inspired about our work and to have a successful practice. Now, some of you are out there listening, and I'm having a thunderstorm here in East Tennessee. So if you hear something rumbling, it's not my tummy. I don't have an enthusiastic tummy. It's nature. Many of you will say, Laura, I am burnt out. I'm not enthusiastic about anything, much less my practice. And I don't have extra energy and I don't feel energetic about anything. And if I'm talking to you right now and it's been a sustained state, you probably are burnt out. But if I'm talking to you right now and it's a state that you're in today, it's probably transient. Being enthusiastic and having energy in general around our business, we don't have to have it 365 days a year. And we probably won't. Now, I've been feeling burnt out myself earlier in the year. I'm feeling so much better now, but I experienced a wave of burnout as we launched Nurse Life Coach Academy, as we had team members leave, and a huge retreat. There was just a lot on the plate at the same time. And after the cortisol left, after most of those events had passed, I was left with a familiar feeling of burnout that I hadn't experienced in years, and built in a month off from coaching calls. And something magical happened. I came back and I am freaking enthusiastic. I am full of energy. It was a great move. It was somewhat already planned. So I think my body kind of knew. It's like, hey, if we're going to have that wave of burnout and breakdown, like, June's the month for Laura to have it. And it really coincided with that. There is nothing wrong with taking a break, with being the opposite, with being not enthusiastic, not having energy, low energy. It's okay to do that, to nurture yourself there, to be there. If that's your sustained state, I don't want you to feel like you have to feign enthusiasm if you're in a perpetual state of burnout. I don't. But optimally, the North Star here is to find some excitement and energy around what we're doing in the world, how we're making our money, the impact that we make. There is nothing better than having a group of mentees on a call and having the whole call have a sense. Maybe people come in like a 5, 6, or 7. By the end of the call, we're 8s, we're 9s, we're challenging each other. This just happened when I came back. And I know part of the reason why it happened when we came back is A, we had someone in the group who was a 10 out of 10 and her enthusiasm lit the whole group up. B, the coach came in a 9 out of 10. So we had one of the 8 out of 10 out of 10, I was at a 9 out of 10, and everybody else wrote it on up. They benefited from being in our presence. It rubbed off. They sucked a little bit of it up, the excess enthusiasm in the atmosphere. Just like I got from this coach's webinar that I listened to. Also, like a more practical standpoint, when you're creating content, like here on this podcast right now, I talk like this normally. When I'm on fire, this is not how I talk to my husband and kids in the house, walking around doing the mundane. But in life, I get this kind of like a manic-y, enthusiastic, high energy state. And I love it. It feels so good to be here. It feels so good to be here. And it's habitual. I can access it. I can do some exercises. I can walk around my property. I can have some predictable thoughts to get me here. I can say for the next 2 to 3 hours, I'm going to feel this way. I am going to be this frequency. I am going to show up this way. And the body responds, and the brain responds, and spirit responds, and your groups and your clients respond. Let's take a little temperature here of ourselves as you're listening to this. How has your energy been? Let's just take the last 90 days. A lot of you love summer. I don't love summer. In fact, every major depression I've ever had has been June, July, which is interesting. Now, give me September, October. I am your girl. As soon as the pumpkins come out, it is Laura's season all the way through Christmas. This is the hardest part of the year for me. And for some of you, this is the best part of the year for you. So I want you just to reflect. Does your enthusiasm and energy have any ebbs and flows with the seasons? Does it have ebbs and flows during the month? Are you sensitive to astrological things or the moon? Do you have a background stressor, like a family member who's sick, or a relationship problems, or a struggle that you can tell is sucking and taking some of that? Just being aware here. One of the ways nurse coaches are constantly trying to cultivate enthusiasm and energy is listening to this podcast, listening to other podcasts. And I think sometimes that's great. I think sometimes having media or something that you can think about or read is so helpful. Books can do this to me. But never underestimate the physical either. Low sugar, lots of water, moving your body, a 20 or 30-minute brisk walk outside is like the best thing that you can do for your body. I am convinced. It doesn't have to be an insane CrossFit workout or going to the gym for 2 hours. It doesn't have to be that. But a brisk walk outside, something where your blood's pumping, your heart rate gets up, you get some of those good feeling neurotransmitters. And then those times of regulation, of meditation, of breath work, of mindfulness, of a deep coaching call. I just finished with my last deep coaching client, and deep coaching just served as a built-in conduit to spirit and meditation for the last 6 months. It's been so useful. Yes, I was learning the skill, a deeper understanding of the skill, but I got to receive 15 hours of coaching, of deep coaching, of having space held for me in a way with no agenda, with no forward movement, with no goal. Totally different modality deep coaching is. And I think having that regularly also will contribute to your enthusiasm and energy. It's like this well-rounded you. Times that you're low and you're connected and you're grounded and you're centered and you're in your body. I just could take a deep breath and be there right now. This state that I'm in now can also be a quiet form of enthusiasm, of certainty, of clarity, potency. Practical tips are staying healthy, working on your thoughts, doing thought work, more of the cognitive behavioral stuff. We have the model or the thought model in our course, Nurse Life Coach Academy. Seeking inspiration from your peers, being in the right room with the right people in the right group, having a mentor, having a coach, and then practicing mindfulness or meditation. If we can rotate that, like if we have a system in place, these like non-negotiables, the way that we live our life, it's a good plan for a nurse coach to have that. Here's another few points I want to make that are surprising. Enthusiasm enhances your learning. I'll share a funny story with y'all. We are launching Nurse Life Coach Academy right now. We're still deep in it. launching a new company, new socials, new Facebook groups, new logos, all the things. We've done this once with the Successful Nurse Coaches. We are in the beginning stages of doing the same thing with Nurse Life Coach Academy. We have a team. It's super helpful. But I've never used Instagram for my coaching business. I never used it in my private practice for the first 2 or 3 years. I haven't used it in the Successful Nurse Coaches for the last 3 or 4 years. I like watching reels on it. I never look through Instagram. I'm a Facebook girl. I built my practice there. I built my following there. I like Facebook groups. I like the format better. I've just resigned myself to that's my style, and that's okay. And I know a lot of you are into Instagram. Well, I wanted to add a story, like a highlight to my profile and talk about Nurse Life Coach Academy. And I couldn't figure out how to do it. And I thought to myself, holy crap, people pay me so much money to help them in their business. And I don't know how to post a story highlight to my Instagram profile, which, by the way, I'm proud to say you can make millions of dollars without having fancy things on your Instagram. I am a perfect example of that. But we're starting this new company. I want to get with the times. I'm 45. I want to prove to myself I can still do a new social media platform and maybe even get enthusiastic about it. So it took me a while, and I figured it out. And I messaged the whole team that I was so excited, that I was not old. In fact, I was aging backwards. I was full of enthusiasm, and Instagram better watch out. That is enthusiasm and energy around something that I haven't needed, haven't wanted, but decided that I was going to do. And that's like a habitual way of relating to something where I very easily could have been like, forget it. I'll just hire somebody. This is so hard. What a waste of time. In those kinds of thoughts, those are not enthusiastic thoughts, are they? They are draining thoughts. They are heavy thoughts. They add to our personal gravity. They don't release us from personal gravity. Enthusiasm kind of burns off some of the muck. It's a really cool vibration and place to find yourself in. It's really motivating too. And I think as coaches, we deeply desire to spend time around people who motivate us, and we intend to help motivate our clients. And I think that all starts with us, ourselves. All right. I am so curious what you all think about this episode. How is it landing? How is it hitting? What comes to mind? What are your challenges around it? And you can message us in the Successful Nurse Coach Facebook group. We'll be posting this clip there. And I want to know more how you're relating to this and how you can bring a little bit more enthusiasm into whatever you're doing, because it's a good habit. And we all like enthusiastic people. All right, guys. Talk to you all soon. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Bye.